Today, President Trump signed an executive order that he said initiated the process of repealing the Affordable Care Act after Congress in the past has failed to do so. And one might be asking himself, what does he mean by that? That's a good question. I don't know either. And I watched his remarks. I read the various news outlets speaking about it. There was nothing stated explicitly about what exactly is being done other than this is the first step toward, as he said, Obamacare relief, which kind of is ambiguous other than it initiates the attempt at getting rid of it. Never mind, we've had multiple attempts at getting rid of it and none of them had worked. And that still doesn't tell us what exactly is going away first, because if you're just initiating it, that suggests there are parts of this that are going to stay in place, making the whole ordeal all the more confusing. And what was very entertaining was seeing Senator Paul, whom I've given much praise to for standing in the way of this of the various repeals that were attempted in the Senate, was there and was seemingly happy and said this was, the relief that we haven't had in a generation, and all that nonsense they're trying to sell to me. Um, you know, I I'm blown away by a couple of things, and that is that I try to not go after Trump explicitly in my various reportings of things that he does or actions that he takes, um, due to the fact that I feel it's been done to death. People have repeatedly, whether it's in Hollywood, TYT, Secular Talk, all of these different news outlets and various celebrities and much more higher profile individuals who have condemned him. And I feel as if I'd be regurgitating what others have to say. But where, name me a time prior to this in regards to this healthcare ordeal. So since he's been in office, where there was a more lesser expressed description of how he would get rid of some component of it or just that the entire thing. As much as I didn't enjoy the various bills that were attempted at being passed in both the House and Senate, one of them actually being passed in the House back in May, they at least explained what was in them, how it would be done, where it would go about. There were things stated that made it to where even if you didn't agree with it, even if you didn't like the idea of getting rid of something that covers millions of people, you still understood what it was about. This doesn't tell me anything other than it's not the entire thing, which, again, to what extent? It gets redundant after a while because, and really this whole process has been redundant. They put out a new bill, it gets a little bit of traction, some opposition from the same couple of people, all the Democrats, and then, Paul and maybe McCain or someone else. It, goes to one chamber of Congress, maybe it passes there, maybe it doesn't. It goes to the other one and it flops or never gets there to begin with. That's been the whole process for these last, 10 months now? 9 months since he's been in office? The same thing over and over. And it gets to this thing where it gets to a point where every time I hear about the new repeal, I just roll my eyes and say, here we go again. Because you're not getting anywhere with this. And I don't know why this has to be the main discussion point when we have other issues such as, poverty, homelessness, various diseases we still don't have cures to. There's so much more time and effort to be poured into those humanitarian efforts toward Americans. That's why I don't buy this stuff about the government is so worried about us and the people who are in office care about the various individuals that they govern. No, they don't. They're just taking money from corporate donors. And, people were able to get tricked by Trump into thinking it wouldn't be this way. Never mind the fact that he's surrounded by people who, if they're not empty suits, they're, not actually having a position on anything other than what their donor tells them to have a view on. So if you have enough donors saying, hey, be against the Affordable Care Act, then Trump will be influenced by his own party, or rather by his own party's donors, to be against the Affordable Care Act. Again, it goes back to the idea of we can't stand for anything because we're worried about the repercussions. So let's destroy everything that benefits other people while we get the best health care as members of Congress.